Dear viewers, welcome to PKSF Shomoy program. For more than 8 months, we have seen in this program many success stories of the program participants of partner organizations of the Karma-Sahayak Foundation. These success stories focused in brief on various financial and non-financial services offered by PKSF and their impact on the lives of the marginal people. Some of them now have become small entrepreneurs themselves. Today, we have designed our program on PKSF itself, its functions, the governance system, etc. To participate in today's program, the internationally renowned climate change specialist, one of the most prominent economists of Bangladesh, the winner of Ekushe Padak and the Honorable Chairman of PKSF, Dr. Kazi Kholiquzzaman is here with us. Welcome to this program, sir. Usually, we conduct PKSF program in Bangla, but today's episode has been designed specially for those viewers who don't understand Bangla. Sir, just at the beginning, we wanted to know what are the missions and visions of PKSF, why PKSF was established.
Well, as you know, PKSF was established by the government of Bangladesh in 1990 as a not-for-profit foundation. So, there is some confusion among some people that it's not a government organization, but it is. It's not an NGO in that sense, although it works with NGOs. It started as a small organization with about 30 lakh taka. But slowly it grew, and now its presence is in all the upazilas of the country. So, it is a huge organization, but it does not work directly. It works with partner organizations which are NGOs, and they are very carefully selected so that they function properly and with commitment and also with transparency. Now, in the Articles of Association of the PKSF, it is very clearly mentioned that the mandate of PKSF is to seek to reduce poverty, and it is the memorandum talks about also how to do that. One is employment generation, training, skill training, and technology improvement. These are mentioned income generating activities, but these are the ways to do it. Nowhere in the memorandum of association is it mentioned that PKSF will promote microcredit. It is mentioned though that there is need for money and credit will be provided, but there is no limit in the Articles of Association. So, it can be presumed that the credit provided will be of appropriate size for the particular person. It
Not
can be
very small.
No, it can be very small for a very poor person, but as one becomes a little bit more involved in economic and other activities, the size of the loan should go up. Otherwise, they cannot go beyond a certain stage. However, at the time PKSF was established, the dominant thinking in the country was that microcredit could solve the problem of poverty as well as all other problems of the poor people. And the people who were engaged in the formulation of PKSF as well as those who were in the governance at that time, they decided in their wisdom that they would pursue microcredit. So, PKSF started by providing money to the partner organizations for onward lending to poor and some non-poor people on a micro scale. And after some years, it came to light that only microcredit, the traditional microcredit in particular, is a small amount of money to be repaid in weekly installments over a year. In fact, in 46 weeks, does not solve the problem of poverty on a sustainable basis. So PKSF started finding ways of diversifying microcredit, and at least two things were done in a very prominent way in this context. One was, in some cases where it is possible, the repayment was extended from 1 week to a month, and sometimes up to 6 months, or even in agriculture after harvesting.
After the crop is harvested.
Crop is harvested. And the other thing is, the very poor, the ultra poor, were not included in the traditional microcredit programs because they were not thought to be creditworthy at that point of time. So PKSF decided that they should be brought in, and PKSF started including in their programs the ultra poor, and one very large project was undertaken in 2005, that is to remove monga from the North Bengal, and that project became very popular. And
seasonal,
seasonal. Yeah, it's a 2 months actually when there is no work and people have no asset, and therefore they suffer, and that goes on and on year after year. So they get more and more weak physically, and also their economy goes from bad to worse and so on. So no, I wouldn't say that it's only the program of PKSF that eliminated monga. There are many other programs, government programs, but this was an important element in that whole process. It is not only credit, but it is also some training and also some technological interventions. Non-financial aspects were included in that to an extent. Now this program is being implemented elsewhere in southern part of Bangladesh as well, wherever there are problems relating to employment on a seasonal basis or otherwise. So that's the diversification that was initiated. However, it remained basically a microcredit program based organization.
Wholesale microcredit
used to provide money to be. So that was the essential element was microcredit. But then eventually in 2010 we felt that that's not going much anywhere, particularly because the people who take microcredit do not get enough support in other respects so that they can become sustainable. And it's a small amount which does not give them a leeway to be able to do certain things as well as they would like to do or they can do. So the progression from the diversification to human development. So we introduced a program where human being is at the center in all the dimensions of human living as well, and also of poverty were included in that. So this is the way it progressed, and now this program is becoming larger and larger, and people are getting involved more and more in these programs and getting the results as well.
Thank you, sir. As you said, it is a company not for profit established by the government, and there are structures similar for similar organizations. Could you please tell us how this, what is the governance system of this company? What are the functions of governing body or general body, or how does it work in the field area, the operational strategy? Okay. How does it work in the field?
Okay, the structure is there is a governing body and there is a general body, and then there is the administration. Governing body and the general body headed by a chairman, and the same chairman, and the administration is headed by the managing director. So managing director is responsible for implementing all the programs, and governing body and the general body, they make policies. Governing body meets regularly. to give support to the administration, providing guidelines and policy support, but also approves credit proposals. So, governing body approves the programs and also gives policy guidelines, and general body meets twice a year, approves the budget, and also provides general guidelines to both the governing body as well as for the administration. The governing body is composed of 7 members in fact, including the managing director, and of the other 6 members, 3 are appointed by the government and 3 comes from the general body, from the
sector,
from the private, from this sector, or other people who come not from the government but elected by the governing body as individuals.
Sure.
So 3 and 3. So it's a public private par excellence, public private management. Governing body, there are also representatives who have been appointed by the government, and others are from various professions. So this is the structure, and the chairman of course can do more sometimes or less. That chairman's responsibility is limited to policy making and approving programs.
General guidance. So, in fact, sir, as you mentioned, PKSF started with small fund provided by the government, and later seems that it has assumed a very big lending financial program. Could you please tell us about the sources of fund, whether it is the government or the donor agencies, we call them development partners?
It's mostly the government funding. Government provided funds from time to time, which we have lent, and we charge a small service charge. So the service charge is added to the kitty, and also some money is returned to us, and before we can give it to somebody else or some other organization, we keep this in the bank, and there is an interest income on it. So these two, one is service charge, the other is interest income. These two have been used to provide further support to the NGOs, and the kitty became larger and larger. And also, whenever we needed, we went to the government. We got some support from the government, although it's not always that every year we are getting a huge amount of money. It's small amount, and maybe sometimes a larger amount. But slowly, this fund, PKSF fund, has grown, and it's now the annual budget is about 3,000 crore taka. And we have also 3 special funds, another 1,000 crore. So it's a huge operation, and we are serving over 1 crore people, 10 million people, borrowers.
10 million
households, not people. So 10 million households is a huge number of people.
All over the country.
All over the country. So we also have some donor funded projects or development partner funded projects, which are very specialized ones, like ultra poor, enterprise development, or similar other projects, or insurance and so on. But that's not a very large part of our funding. Our main funding is, of course, based on the government funds provided to PKSF and then built on that.
Okay, sir. In fact, PKSF started in 1990 with a relatively small fund, and initially for middle type of poor people, not for extreme people. Later, the programs were expanded, but there are difference of poverty situation in various parts of the country. For example, sir, in hill tracts area, the flood prone area, in salinity prone area, and different kinds of people, extremely vulnerable people like Dalit and very poor people who have no access to finance or resources. what are the programs of PKSF for special areas or special people, vulnerable people?
You see, one of the things in our regular programs, peoples belonging to these various categories you have just mentioned are included. But up until now, we didn't have a specific program for any of these groups that you have mentioned. The people who are living in coastal areas or in house and bows and tea garden workers and Dalits and street
children,
cleaners, street children, and people with disabilities. We didn't have a program focused on any of these groups. Now we are developing one. We have started developing a program which will focus on, which will be general in the first instance, and then specifically focused on the needs of these various groups. Hopefully that will be on stream within the next few months, and then we should be able to address extreme poverty in a more befitting manner, in more specific manner. Because about 12% now of the population of Bangladesh is extremely poor, and if we want to move forward, eliminate poverty. Eliminate poverty doesn't mean that there will be no poverty. There will be some poverty always, everywhere there is.
Not extreme poverty.
Not extreme poverty, and we have to focus on those. And the government also has recognized that. If you read carefully the Vision 2021, it's there. It's for everybody. The poverty level is also down to about 24–25%. So we should focus on the bottom, but should not forget those who are slightly better off, so that we have a sustainable poverty reduction towards human dignity for everybody.
Yeah, as you are mentioning, we have to care not only for the extreme poor people, but people who have struggled to come out of the poverty trap and try to do something themselves. For example, small entrepreneurs, the farmers who want to have some money for beef fattening, the fishermen who want some money for crab fattening, for vegetable cultivation, etc. Could you please tell us something about how the financing has been diversified, or how small technologies have been given to the farmers?
Right. When people start enlarging their activities, they need three things, in fact. One is finance, one is technology, and the third is training, skill training, upgrading of skills. So PKSF has now started providing all these services. Now we can provide up to 10 lakh taka to an individual.
One individual.
One individual. If there is a good project which has prospects and the productivity growth is there. So we are now helping these people, and they are also providing employment to others. So we are caring for those who are very poor at the bottom, and then those who have come out of poverty and then want to go a little bit further. We are providing. Beyond 10 lakh, of course, we can't provide right now, but then there are banks. If they have a basis, they could go to the banks for more money if they need it. So it has to be a continuum. From the very poor, they have to come out of poverty and then move forward. But they will still be poor, which we can try to help, but also the government safety net programs are there. So that we can combine with them, as we do always. We try to coordinate with the government activities, so that there is a sustainable process of poverty reduction and eventual human development towards human dignity and human rights.
Yeah, as you are telling in the policy guidelines that PKSF should be keeping money for crisis time, for cyclone, for flood affected people, etc., as well as for the education of their children. So how do you foresee a future where there will be less poverty and more prosperity through interventions of PKSF? Of course, government's activities are there, social safety net programs are there.
PKSF, I believe, is providing support to the process that is run, because it's the government ultimately. It's a responsibility of the government, and government can do things throughout the country. And there are gaps which can be met by certain organizations, and PKSF is one of them, which is doing a tremendous lot in the context of the poverty reduction and as well as human development. So I wouldn't claim that PKSF is doing everything. PKSF is an organization created by the government to help this process along, so that people can come out of the poverty and go forward in their life. The other important thing mentioned in the Memorandum of Association is to provide education that we ignored for a long time.
But this
now we have initiated educational programs as well as scholarship programs to help very poor people, the children coming out of ultra poor families or poor families, so that they can also establish themselves through education and through training.
Thank you, sir. These are very, very interesting success stories of PKSF. In fact, PKSF has contributed very significantly towards poverty alleviation of the country, and now PKSF is providing assistance in all sectors under your leadership for overall integrated poverty alleviation and sustainable development program. So I think PKSF will continue progressing under your leadership and will take new initiatives. So we hope that in the years and months to come, PKSF will have more and more newly designed programs and activities, and will contribute significantly towards sustainable poverty alleviation of the country. So with this, we finish today's program. Thank you, sir. Thank you all respected viewers. Thank you very much.